It's been a long time, 5+ years now navigating this thing. And I've had some pretty big struggles over the last few months, and I haven't filled anybody here other than I think Caleb and Jen are sort of aware. But I am actually going to be stepping down from Balanced Veterans as a whole to really focus on my mental health. And I'm stepping into a grad program. Well, I'm already in one, but transferring to another state. I think I'm going to be moving to Florida. And so I wrote an official resignation letter. There was a lot of like random drama that sort of went down over the last little bit. And I think it's best to just spare the details of most of that and, kind of leave it at a more peaceful spot. But I did write an official resignation letter. I don't know if that's something that you would want me to read, Caleb. But then from there, I didn't really know what was best to move forward or how you wanted to kind of operate the meeting. But that's where I'm at. And I know that may be a bit of a shock, Nelson and Dr. Bornfriend. I apologize for not filling you guys in, but I've just sort of had my head down. I've been doing some really just deep soul searching and, talked to quite a few people in council. And this was a really, really difficult decision for me to make. But I think that it's best. I think at this moment, we've got somebody that's energized and excited about our mission and our vision. And I think that, moving forward, there's a lot of really exciting potential for the org. And I think that Jen coming on as the executive director is going to be a good move for the organization. I think she's fired up and really great with, the organizational aspects. So, I really wasn't sure where you wanted to go from there. I tried to shoot you a text in advance, Caleb, to let you know, but I'm not sure what you want to roll as far as function, but I can hop off and let you guys kind of discuss from there or whatever you think's best.
If you want, you can email that resignation letter to everyone that's on the board here, and we can roll through that, after the meeting. Kind of in our own time. I'm not sure how long it is. So
yeah, for sure. It's like a page and a half, just,
okay.
some of my thoughts from over the last few years, but that's fine, man. I'll do that. I'll shoot that out.
All right. Well, I'll just start rolling through. Like, you're welcome to stay, Ron, if you want, but I'm going to go ahead and just start rolling through this agenda that we have here.
Cool.
But before you go, I definitely want to say that Ron has put a lot of energy and time towards our mission, and super grateful for his contribution over years. And I have enjoyed working with Ron and working together and just watching this org grow and everything. And I know that things are changing and everything, but we do want the org to continue forward and the mission to be first. And so that is why we're kind of making some changes and just trying to find a way to keep this going and moving forward. So thank you, Ron, for helping to get this turnover continued and helping us find our path.
Absolutely, man. So
there is an agenda. I'm not sure if everyone has access to it. I know our last meeting, I'm pretty sure the meeting invite went to spam folders for a couple of you. So we're trying to figure out what's going on. We just made a switch over from .com to .org, and in Google Workspace, it's all kind of a new language, I guess, for me, to get all the mail stuff sorted out to where you have a high score and everything. If you don't get it perfect, then sometimes it shows up in your junk folder. So I apologize for that. I might in the future just send an additional invite from a personal email address just to make sure that it makes it to your box, and also get your cell phone numbers as well if you want to just drop those in the chat. That way I can make sure that I think we may have already shared them, but I want to make sure that I get them again, just so I can text you too, and to make sure that everybody will be able to make it. If let me know if anything has changed or anything like that before any of the future board meetings. So we'll go ahead and get this kicked off. Our mission is create a safe space for community in the education, advocacy, and this says it twice, advocacy of alternative therapies for veterans and their families. We're gonna have to fix that little typo there. And we've kind of changed our motto to unconventional healing for conventional forces. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We did not have a meeting last month, so there is no minutes, but the agenda is here. If someone wants to make a motion to approve, that will have to come from Nelson or Lynn.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All right, motion to approve has been approved. So we'll go ahead and move into the staff reports. Executive director report. I've been working in the executive director role, but I've also been working with Jen Baxter, who has been a member of Operation 1620 for years, and has actually been a leader in our team before as a volunteer in Arizona. She has been working as the acting executive director. We're looking to promote her to executive director. She's been doing a great job since February, and I've watched her be able to kind of build some things and put them together and figure out who can do what and where, and been planning for events. Like we've got a really big event here on the 20th, actually 2 big events. So just trying to navigate all the changes and just learn who is doing what and getting it put together. So I've really been watching her grow. Let's see, let me just go down to the executive director report here and go through that. So we've got Jen, who came on as a staff hire. We also lost Victoria DeSalvo, wellness coordinator, on March 14th, and we terminated Elena Woodliff, the social media manager, and we let Elena go because we were just kind of changing our path for social media. But we will eventually hire someone again in the future, but just trying to really watch our funds and make them go as far as possible. Program changes. We also ended the Operation Houseplant Healing program just because of all of the changes going on. It was really pulling our attention away from really what we needed to focus on. So we will continue. We actually did get a little bit of funds in that program, and so we will put those funds out to get plant drops out to veterans, because that is, part of nonprofit work. If you say you're raising money for a certain program, then you have to put those funds to that program. Community website, we did finally switch over from .com to .org. So if you go to balancedveterans.org, that's our new website. The .com site is completely down, and it forwards to the balancedveterans.org site. The old community has shut down. The new community is on this new site. And we're also working to have an app rolled out that is being finalized, and hopefully we can have that done here in the next couple of weeks. For accounting, we started using Sure Payroll, and that ensures that all payroll goes out timely and tax compliance stays up to date. Let's see, and it runs at the end of the month and it's paid at the beginning of the following month. 2022 is still being categorized by Benchmark, Aspen, and Associates of Grayslake. I need to reach out to them to get an update. I will have that to you before the next board meeting to let us know when it's going to be finished, because next month is when it is due for the state. And then after that, we're going to be doing a third-party audit, and that is really necessary to be able to qualify for a lot of grants. And so once we have that independent audit go through, we should qualify for more grants. We've had some people who were putting grants out. We talked with them and they said that was pretty much the only thing that was holding us back. So looking forward to having that cleared up. I think Ron's got a TV interview that I believe he did, RVN TV. I'm not sure when that's coming out.
Yeah, that dropped, I think, like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And then Melissa is doing a Chamber of Commerce radio. And for those that don't know, Melissa is like our executive assistant. She's contracted out to help us with a lot of administrative work, but we are actually working to get her back into what she was originally hired for, which is a donor relations role. So with all of that said, I will introduce Jen now and let her give her updates and kind of give a little introduction and a little background on her experience. And yeah, I'll turn it over now.
Thanks, Caleb. It's nice to meet both of you. Thanks for being here. Just wanted to take a moment. I'll introduce myself and then I'll kind of go into a little bit of how I got to BVN and where we're at now. But I served in the United States Air Force for a little over 14 years. I was security forces, medically retired after 14 years. Found myself in a similar situation with so many vets that come to us where, you know, 600 pills a month is what the VA has given me. And after a few years, I was like, I have to do something or I'm not going to be around much longer. So I started looking into cannabis and veterans, and being law enforcement, it wasn't the first thing on my list as what I would kind of turn to for healing, but I did, and it essentially saved my life. But it was a combination of changing my diet, changing my lifestyle habits, exercising, having community, and, you know, taking control of my mental health. So this was around the year 2016. 2017, I found Operation 1620 online, and it was a great forum and a great community for veterans who were similar to my story with finding cannabis and kind of changing from pharmaceuticals. And in, I think it was 2021, I found BVN and joined BVN, and it spoke to me so much just because it kind of embodied everything that I had gone through on my own journey, and signed up to be an ambassador. I really wanted to get involved. That's one of the main things that I wanted to do when I kind of took control of my health and got healthier, was I wanted to tell every veteran I possibly could about what they could do to help themselves. And so I joined BVN in 2021 and became an ambassador and started going out to events out here. I got some gear sent down to me. I was doing some networking events, built a little team out here, and really had a great time spreading the word and spreading the mission and connecting with veterans, and talking to family members of veterans who wanted resources and to know our information to help them.
Where's down here?
Oh, sorry about that. I'm in Phoenix, outside of Phoenix, Arizona now currently. And again, don't let the hoodie fool you, because it's been close to 100 degrees the past few days. So, but you got to have the AC going.
Sure.
So I am located just outside of Phoenix. Was involved with BVN for a little over a year. Really enjoyed my time. Really felt like I was helping to make a difference and to spread this mission. There's no other veteran organization like it, and I think it's very, very special. So September of last year, I stepped away for a little bit, and had Caleb call me back in February and asked if I'd be interested in coming back to the organization and stepping into the ED role and kind of seeing where we went from there. And I was super excited about it. I thought about it for a few days, talked about it with my family, and kind of got back and hit the ground running. And since then, I've really been trying to do right by the organization, by the people that are here and that want to fulfill this mission. So just really trying to embody like teamwork with everybody, trying to find who fits where best, and really trying to get a solid foundation for the organization. So I know Caleb did touch on some of the things that have been done, but, you know, really kind of taking a step back and looking at what's going to benefit the organization now. What can we kind of cut away to cut our losses at this point, and what can we do to slowly kind of build some momentum as far as operations are concerned, and actually giving back to our community and the people that we're trying to bring to BVN. So since then, we've kind of developed a pillar initiative project, I'll call it, where we have our pillars for BVN, and essentially they'll all have their own leaders, their own project manager, and have a little team underneath them. And the idea of this pillar initiative is to develop content on a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And essentially the content will be put out to our community every month. Every pillar will be hit. So every month there's content coming out from community, from mental wellness, movement. And then that way in our community, in our calendar of events that we have on our website, people will be able to go in, they'll be able to see what's getting released. It could be a video, it could be a class, it could be an educational document, specifically more for Project Triangle. I know we're kind of limited there with because of what it encompasses. So it's going to be able to bring something back to our community that we're able to give back. That being said, we do need a new communications consultant. The one that we had, the person we had running social media, the contract was a little too narrow scoped. And so what we're doing is we've been revamping the communications consultant contract to give it a broader approach, I guess, that covers kind of everything that we would need: newsletter, social media, emails, all that type of stuff. So I've actually had an interview with a veteran who came because he was interested in getting involved in something else, and come to find out he and his wife work in the social media content creation, website development world. And he's super excited about our mission, and it looks kind of promising to have him come on board and get that ball rolling and get some consistent communication out. I know Kayla mentioned the Operation Healing Houseplants that was terminated. We didn't have the resources to kind of commit to that at that point. So it's just, I've really been trying to weigh out exactly what's going to help us now, what we can get going, how to best use our resources, and how to get something sustainable and consistent going for BVN and for the community. We've been developing some things also. There was a kind of volunteer code of conduct that's been developed, as long as a social media agreement, especially for these events. It's very important that our volunteers know what's expected of them. You have to put those guidelines in place when you're dealing with groups of people, as we all know, and just some expectations to make sure that when people are out there representing BVN, that they're doing it in the most professional way possible. So kind of putting some structures in place and some guidelines for things to really help us and make sure that the organization remains as strong as possible. We've been developing the rest of the plans for the events next week. They've come together nicely. We've got wellness coordinators organized. We've got all of our travel arrangements set. We've got everybody ready to go. We've got a couple of panelists that are speaking at the panel, and for our veterans, our wellness tent. It's really come along, and I think it's going to be a really good event for everybody. Aside from that, we've kind of implemented a merchandise contract as well that we're going to have for our merchandise person, just to make sure that there's no gray areas there. We just want to make sure everybody's on the same page going forward. We have a plan in place to get merchandise updates, which will help make sure that we have accountability of all of our assets and resources going forward. So it's things like that that have been developed that is going to help us. Aside from that, I think those are kind of the bigger things. We've got an op-ed coming out in the Washington Blade next week that discusses veterans and the need for cannabis, or safe access to cannabis, and a couple of really cool potential partnerships, I guess you could say, with an organization that's in Illinois that really got a lot of help from BVN a couple of years ago and wants to coordinate with us to do some events. So just building some relationships there, but not taking on too much, and taking things kind of slow and steady, and getting some good traction under us to get something consistent going forward.
Cool. Thank you, Jen. And I believe that everyone has received Jen's resume, but I'll resend that just to make sure. Does anyone have any questions for Jen regarding anything she presented, or just about the executive director role? Good.
Hey, can you elaborate on what Project Triangle was or is?
Project Triangle is one of our pillars. It's one of our initiatives, and it covers entheogens, psychedelics. It's the psychedelics portion of BVN. So we've got the different pillars: Operation 1620, Project Triangle, movement, mental wellness.
And so Nelson, we're kind of limited with what we want to expose ourselves to, talking about psychedelics. And so that's why she's saying anything we put out, we're not going to be, teaching people how to make these psychedelics or anything, but we will educate people on some of the new studies that are coming out and maybe some anecdotal evidence and stuff like that.
Any changes in legislation,
Yep.
clinical studies, anything like that. Whereas the cannabis side of things, we're a little bit more free to teach how to grow, or
Yep.
a little bit more.
Yep. At least it's legal at the state level in multiple states, cannabis. But there's nothing with psychedelics. It's been legalized in I think just a couple of cities, and a couple of smaller areas. So it's just something that we're approaching with caution.
It's decriminalized, even in Oregon. Yeah, even in Oregon, it's only legal to use within the established therapeutic setting of the programs. What's funny about it, though, is in December, when I went to the National Psychedelics Conference in DC, we went into a dispensary and it's on the menu. Everyone can buy psilocybin in dispensaries in DC. As a matter of fact, they had a delivery service that was delivering not just cannabis, but psilocybin to the hotels. So
Wow.
It's such a ridiculous. And when Ron and I went a little more than a year ago to Canadelic, they were selling the spores and everything. It's legal to get the spores for research. So
Yep.
everything,
Microscopy.
but it's just such a silly scene.
Yep.
I'm a certified psychedelic assisted psychotherapy person. I've taken the coursework and I'm a physician, a psychiatrist. But one of the things that occurred to me when I was just in Costa Rica, psilocybin is certainly legal in Costa Rica, as is ayahuasca. And I was envisioning, as I was wearing my BVN t-shirt, that we could think about doing a retreat there. There are some very big fancy places there, but I also, because I've been there so many times, I'm connected. The woman I work with is a healer, lives in La Fortuna. She's American, but she lives there. And we could set up our own thing that might be a really interesting project at some point if someone was interested. I just wanted to make sure I said that because otherwise I'll forget.
Thanks, Lynn.
Along those lines also, just for you to know, Jen, I am licensed in Pennsylvania and Illinois and California, and am able to certify people for, I don't mind doing it. I mean, I can't do it full time gratis, but I'm happy to do that for people. So it can be part of the program. I've only done it twice, and then I've been volunteering, but you guys are just too, but I'd be happy to do it. It takes 2 seconds to get someone certified and legal.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you. Good to know.
You're welcome.
Cool. We will move on to the financial report. Does anyone else have any questions for Jen? Are we good? Cool. We'll go ahead and move on to the financial report. Current cash on hand, 24,735. I think I did my math right in this, because I had to add in another account that we have. It's the Truist account. And then we have $432 in credit card reward dollars that are sitting there, and we can use that at any point. Monthly revenue is looking like it's about 6,200. And our accounts payable account is sitting at 1,800. We do have a festival or 2 festivals that are coming up soon, so that's why our cash on hand has dropped a little bit. We didn't have a meeting last month, but it was sitting around 36,000 at that point. So we had about a $10,000 chunk of change that had to go out. But we do expect some funding to come in soon from TerraSend, $5,000, Vital Options, $10,000. And then at these actual events that we're going to be at, the festivals, we look forward to selling merchandise, and we'll get some revenue from that as well. So our cash on hand should go back up. Of course, we're going to have some expenses that we're going to be paying out for some of the volunteers. We reimburse a certain amount. I think it's like $250 per volunteer. We will reimburse for like gas and food and stuff like that. Hopefully we can, get our financials audited and qualify for some grants, and then we can up those reimbursements to cover full expenses in the future. So that is pretty much it. We do have a fundraising committee, but there is not much on that. It's just the same recurring establishments that have been supporting us. But we will start updating that as we move forward. So back to the agenda, old business, BVN staff creating official expense reimbursement policy. We have got that reimbursement policy set up online. We also have a lawyer secured for bylaw updates. We are using NetSuite now as a new program that actually we were onboarding pretty much since January. I meet weekly with someone from NetSuite, and so what that is an administrative program that we use to kind of track all employees, all members, all constituents, like donors and everything. So there's a little bit of donor management in there. And it just really helps keep things nice and clean. The old business also, we had brought the social media manager on. We had the new website coming, and the app is coming as well. And then we passed on an MSW intern at that point because the organization was just too stretched thin at that point. New business. Okay, so we've already covered this with Jen coming on. She gave her introduction there. New board introductions. I think we were going to have, so we do need to expand the board, especially with Ron stepping away. We're currently sitting at 3 board members, so we were hoping to get it 7 as soon as possible, but we won't want to move too quickly. But we do have some people that we're kind of looking at now. We're starting to collect some resumes. So really, if either one of you have anyone in mind that you think would be a good addition to the team, feel free to send their resume to us, and then just let us know, and then we'll add them to this list, and we'll slowly start reviewing them and seeing where they could fit in. So board structure, board tempo, the board tempo. So the board structure is obviously changing now with Ron stepping away. He was the chairman. So we will need to restructure the board to make sure that we're in compliance. I think Ron's also moving from Pennsylvania to Florida. And if that move does happen, then we're going to have to find out where to actually host the organization, whether we move that to Arizona or Illinois. We'll just have to figure out what is best for that. And that wherever that is where checks go. So that's why it's very important as well, because we need to have someone there who can deposit checks. There are 6 required board meetings per year, but we were thinking about potentially increasing that to 12, which would be once a month, and just seeing how we can keep everyone up to date on the board. Would love to hear some feedback on that. Do you think that you are in the know enough? And if we actually miss a meeting at the 6 per year, then there's about 4 months before we see each other. So I was thinking that a monthly meeting with just 6 at a minimum, where there's 6 voting meetings at least, would put us very in compliance with that. So what do y'all think about that? Is that too much, or I just want to make sure that we're able to keep everyone informed and that no one feels like that, I don't even know what's going on with the org.
How about splitting the difference at 8
At 8?
or 9, maybe in 6 weeks?
Okay.
You want
Nelson, do
my
you have any input on that? Did you hear me, Nelson? Did you have any input on that?
I was just doing the math in my head. I think what Doc said, twice a quarter would probably work just as well, splitting it.
Okay. Jen, did you want to say something?
Do you want my opinion? I'm not
Sure.
on board. I was thinking, I understand the once a quarter, that sounds very reasonable. I think until we at least get a few more members on the board and get some like consistent feedback and communication going, maybe trying that for the first few months, just have something sustainable. There's just been so much that hasn't really been sustainable. I feel that might be helpful. I know it takes up a day out of the month or an hour out of the month, but we can always cut that back in the future. That's just my.
Yeah, we also have to make up the meeting from last month. If we're going to do it twice a quarter, then maybe we wouldn't need to make that up. Yeah, we could just figure it out. But I think that at a minimum, twice a quarter would be good to keep everyone informed. And with that makeup one, then we'll see what that works out to be. And you all could let me know what you think at the next board meeting. I'm going to create a rest of the year, calendar year, proposed board meetings, and you can just give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or say yay or nay. Let's see. Okay, so we've already started this next one. It was all future board meetings are going to be in Zoom webinar format. And so this allows for internal viewing from anyone who wants to watch. We're not going to do it out publicly right now. However, we will release the call details for anyone who wants to just watch. And with a webinar format, what is great about that is we can have our own conversations and no one else can really interrupt or chime in to throw us off or extend the meeting. We do want to be respectful of everyone's time and make sure that we can stay nice and smooth with everything and just keep it as brief as possible while still getting a good summary to everyone and giving plenty of time to ask questions and get a good understanding. We do need to create an official policy with Ron leaving for board member terminations, removals, changes of positions, and just like formal complaints for anyone. And so we'll do that. Derek Carver recently resigned, and that was on 2/5. So he's another board member that we're going to need to replace. My thing just skipped on me. Let me get back to where I'm at. Sorry about that. Sorry, there's Google is acting funny on me. But that is pretty much everything that we need to cover. We do need to find a replacement vice president, and we could make a motion to vote on that next meeting, and we'll figure that one out. Does anyone else have any comments or announcements that they want to make or have any questions? I know today with Ron stepping away, that's probably a big one that caught everyone off guard. Good. All right. Well, we're going to continue to do what's best for the org and try to find individuals who have the experience and the drive to help us continue moving forward and just get resources out to veterans and have as much of an impact as possible. So, Jen, do you have anything else that you want to say before we leave?
No, not really. Just thanks for being here today. And I'm just really excited to get some traction with this organization and really get some things going out to vets, because working an event and having a veteran come over and their eyes light up and they take a pamphlet and say, I didn't know anything like this existed, makes it all worth it. It makes the time, the effort, the hours, the work, everything worth it. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're successful, and I'd love to have open communication with you all as well in the time I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you. Our next board meeting is Sunday, May 12th, and that one, because this one is a makeup meeting, that's why it's so soon.
May 12th
The
is
12th is, man, what month was I looking at?
because the 13th is my daughter's senior prom.
And the 14th is Mother's Day, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what is the 31st? Is that a Saturday?
No, May, it's a Wednesday. The last Sunday of the month is the 28th.
I was trying to do
Right
the middle
here?
of the month.
But that's Memorial Day weekend too, so.
Yeah.
I may not have been. It doesn't sound like I was. Let's see.
The 21st looks like a good Sunday.
But wait,
Well, what
that's
works
not
at-
Memorial Day?
The 29th is Memorial Day.
Gotcha.
Does the 28th work for everyone? I know that this is kind of last minute, but I want to make sure that
Memorial
everyone.
Day is not good for me because I'm doing a
Oh,
graduate.
you just said it was Memorial Day. What about the 7th? That's pretty soon, but
The 7th of May?
yep.
Okay.
That's iffy for me. The 21st is the best Sunday for me out of May, just for what it's worth.
Well, Jen,
What
we
about
can
everyone else?
need you to come, I think.
Yeah. The 21st. Okay. Does that work for you, Dr. Bornfriend?
Sure, but not if you call me Dr. Bornfriend.
Okay, I'll call you Lynn. I felt like I was doing that earlier, and then I was like, wait, I feel like I'm supposed to be calling her Dr. Bornfriend. So,
My dad
okay.
always used to say, you can call me anything but late for dinner.
Cool. All right, so we'll plan for the 21st of May for our next board meeting. I do want to put it up for a vote to have Jen officially on as the executive director. I will just go ahead and voice that I think that she's been doing a great job. I've seen her be able to rally the troops and just kind of study what's going on, and she really picked up everything really quick, and we think very similar. And so there's a lot of times that we chat about something and we're already thinking the same thing. She takes feedback very well. So I'm really excited to have her on board on staff with us. And so I would like to put it up for a vote next month. So on the 21st, we'll do that. We'll call a motion for that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this meeting here. I am going to send you out Jen's resume again, just to make sure you have it. In the meantime, if you have any questions or you want to just, ask anything about what we chatted today about or Jen's resume, feel free to just respond to the email and we'll get you answers there. So other than that, if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, we can go ahead and end the meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right. Meeting adjourned.